Hello, everyone. Jak Syn here on behalf of Fiend.com and Future Daze, and today it is another exciting episode of artist interviews. Today, I am sitting with Das Mortal. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. How about
That's
you?
that's really great to hear. I mean, I'm doing pretty well. Nice, beautiful day outside, sun shining. I know where you're at. I'm sure the weather is beautiful as well.
Yeah, it is, but it's kind of like Montreal is a bit of a up and down weather lately. So, but no, it's cool. It's been chill for a few days.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, up and down weather, I don't know. It could be a little topsy-turvy here and there. Is it usually cold over there, though?
I mean, we have like the very polar opposite, I guess, of weather. Like when it's winter, it gets freaking cold. Here it can get like minus 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know how Fahrenheit it translates to. And in like summer, it can go up to like 35 degrees Celsius.
Oh, I see.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That it's either really cold or really hot.
exactly. But that I guess it makes it fun because you can do a bunch of like winter activities in winter time and like go all ball in like skateboarding or whatever in the summertime.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, over here in LA where we're at, it's like either spring or summer. There's no winter. There's no fall. It's just either spring or summer. That's how it feels all the time.
Well, I don't know if it's, I guess, like for somebody who comes from here, like, I think that sounds like awesome, but I don't know from somebody who like actually lives in there, how that is.
Well, I know for a lot of us here, we're like, can I at least get a fall? Can I at least see some brown leaves, or can I at least like sip hot chocolate in cold weather,
Yeah.
please? You know what I mean? Like the coldest it gets is like 60 something. You know what I
Uh,
mean? Like or like 58 degrees. That's like the coldest like it'll get around here. So people are like, on a really really cold day. So people are kind of going like anything over 75 degrees is too hot. Anything below 70 degrees is too cold. So I don't
okay.
know. It's like we're getting really spoiled here, I guess you could say. So today we're going to ask you a couple of questions and see where it goes from here. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm all good.
What are three of your most memorable moments from your musical career?
Probably it's meeting the Toy Company crew here in Montreal. Toy Company is a collective of like people who are really into chiptune music and anything that's like 8-bit visuals and all that kind of stuff. It was a really important moment because that's where I kind of, I guess, got in the general electronic music scene here. And because it was chiptune, it's a bit more outcast. It's not like the heavy like ravers or anything like that. It's more like the geek side, I guess, of electronic music. And I always felt like a bit more nerdy, more than like just going to rave parties all night. And that's where I met like a lot of the friends I'm still like either like doing projects with or doing stuff together. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest first. I guess secondly would be the being signed, obviously, to Lisbon Lux record label, which was really cool because at the time when I got signed to them, um, there were a lot of other like internet labels that were trying to, like get me in their labels. And I never felt, especially from net labels, that they were doing anything else other than just like posting your recent release on their Facebook page or whatever. And Lisbon Lux felt more like they wanted to make the project grow with me or like help the project, you know, do something else rather than just constantly like releasing material. So that was really cool, and they've helped me a lot since then with the album releases, EPs, remixes, and all that kind of stuff. They've helped a lot just meeting or having possibilities that I think would have been really hard prior to that. And the last thing would probably be just doing like soundtrack stuff in general. I did a horror movie, I think about a year and a half ago called Dead Con. That was like my first soundtrack experience. It was really, really cool. I got to like just do stuff that was very out of my field in general, musically, and also like producing wise and technically with it. And like a recent example would be, for example, like the Streets of Rage 4 video game soundtrack where I did the final boss theme, which was also very awesome. Like as you know, like I'm 35 years old right now, so I grew up with like video games. And the Streets of Rage series when I was a kid was really important. So being part of that like legacy was really big for me.
Those are some pretty awesome moments. I've heard that final boss thing. It is a beautiful track. Like you composing that like that was amazing to hear that. I mean, it had a lot of like depth to it. It was really great. Um, and some of the stuff that you were talking about, like getting into scoring things.
Mhm.
I think whenever you're able to do that, I'm sure it just as becoming a musician. I think a lot of us, we're like, I want to just release songs, I just want to play the music I want to play. But then some of us have this other thing inside of us where you kind of go, I would really love to score a movie, or I would really love to score a TV show, and like bring
Mhm.
some depth to some of the things that people are seeing on the screens. So I think that getting into that and dabbling in that area, I think is really elevating you. Am I right?
Well, yeah, definitely. Well, it kind of feels like I don't know how to say it really, but like confirming that I'm doing something good, I guess. You know, like if somebody is willing to give me control over something that is, I feel so big. Um, like scoring, I feel is something so important in a movie or any type of like visual medium in general, that people sometimes don't realize it. Like the sound experience as a big part of what you're visually seeing. Like especially like for like sci-fi movies, horror movies, or all that. There's so many sound cues that tell you how to sometimes feel, or like at least give you a little nudge of like how you should be feeling right now in the scene you're watching. So, when somebody gives me the control over that, I feel like they're actually giving me like a big chunk of control over their medium, and it's super like scary, and I can get anxious doing it, but at the same time, it's like so cool that I'm able to have such a big impact on the final product, I feel, and validating again what I'm doing at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you are literally conveying emotion through sound. So thank you for getting into that and helping people to experience those emotions through that, because that right there is a great next step to definitely being an artist. What would you say is your favorite album slash EP that you've ever worked on?
I guess it would be the first Das Mortal album, so that's like Always Loved. That's I think it's the thing I had the most fun working in with because uh, by that point I was signed to Lisbon Lux record label, and they were helping me a lot with the process of making something that wasn't gonna feel like it was just a bunch of tracks compiled together. I feel sometimes it's not for every album release or anything, but sometimes I feel like where I listen to more independent artists, I feel they release albums which are just a collection of songs they made like maybe in the past 3, 4 years, rather than feeling like it's a cohesive album like we used to have back in the day, I guess. And there's many reasons for that, like mostly the fact that people are really into streaming nowadays, so like the fast uh, like consuming really fast music rather than just have taking the time to listen to something and comprehend the big picture of it. But that's one of the things I'm really proud of because we didn't do that. Like we didn't like give in to like the pressures of like Spotify really wants you to have, for example, the first singles you've released as the first 3 tracks of the album, which is something that's really common nowadays. Um, we just went with like what I personally felt was when you listen from A to Z would feel like made sense rather than just having a bunch of the last things I worked in and filling a few tracks here and there just to say I got 10 songs in an album. So I was really, really, really proud of it. And I toured that album as well. had a really good reception to it. And I also like the fact that it's not just synthwave, I guess, music. I've been very often put in this box of synthwave music, but I never really felt I was that. I definitely have sounds from it. Differently, like you can take a few of my songs and be like, this is a synthwave song, but I never felt like my work in general was synthwave. So I really enjoyed having this album with it was just a bit of everything, including synthwave, but it had techno, had more electro stuff, more down tempo-ish stuff. So having just the possibility of just having something that was cohesive, but at the same time was going in a lot of different directions and still be appreciated by people was really, really cool. And, like I worked on it for about 2 years and it was my first physical release as well that I ever had. So having like the vinyl, like receiving the final press of it, like it was really, really cool experience for me at the time. And I mean, I've been doing music for a long time and doing music on other projects than just Das Mortal. But that was like the first time I had something that was really personal and that was really me and that I could physically see as well and that people appreciated. So that was a really, really cool release for me.
Yeah, and that album always loved like a great album. I absolutely love it. All of the tracks on there, everything that is on that album is it's very fluid. You can play around with a lot of different things on that album. And it really is a journey from start to finish. Like as you listen through the whole thing in its entirety, you can really see that you kind of play around with a lot of things on that album. And like you were talking about, like, you aren't inherently synthwave, you know what I mean? And it's like, we talk about these, we throw these terms around a lot, like, is this synthwave? Is this that, whatever. But your sound is like, it's not just that. I mean, that's a small part of it, but your entire sound kind of dips into other genres as well. You don't have just one set thing that you're following. Even in that album, like you can tell that you experiment and play around with other things as well too. I remember, I mean, after that album was released, I remember that you were on tour with Shredder 1984. You
Yeah,
came to Los Angeles and performed at the Catch One. I saw you there for the first time, and I absolutely loved your entire performance. I thought it was magical. All of your other releases that you put out since, even before that too, it's like you can tell, like with your sound, you're varied across the board. You can tell that you dabble here and there with like a little bits of things that are cinematic. Then you also have like little things that are like dark synth and like little things here that are like video game inspired. Like I can
yeah.
get all of those little things from your music when I listen to it. So I think that you having this eclectic kind of sound really like helps to drive you as an artist and really kind of helps you expose you to like a lot of varied audiences as well.
Yeah, it definitely does. Because, I also get to do remixes, for example, and I get asked from, like the more like synthwave part of it, asked me sometimes to do remixes for them, but I also got like other, um, you know, um, musical culture that get to ask me to do something for them, and always just try to do what I feel is best for them, and their crowd, but at the same time nudging it a bit in my eclecticness with it. So that's why, for example, if like recently I did Nina, and she's a very well-known synthwave act for sure in the scene, and like it was really cool just nudging. Like I'm gonna do something that I think the crowd of Nina is gonna appreciate, but I'm gonna nudge it in a way also that gets it away from that uh, synthwave cliches, I guess.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that. It has your original stamp on it. So
Yeah,
it's going to have that Das Mortal sound. It's going to have that eclectic sound. Even your newest singles, like The Void
yeah,
and Wicked Desires, like those tracks right there. When you're listening to The Void, I feel like I'm a guy in a nightclub, people are dancing all around me. I'm getting the beat of the music and everything's moving in slow motion, right?
yeah,
And then when you transition to Wicked Desires, it's like I get this feeling of like sexual feeling. You know what I mean? That some people would kind of go like, "Wow, this is kind of a lusty, kind of passionate
Yeah,
song too."
yeah.
And that's where I see like you have like these different things. Like one song could be really, really like hard and harsh, and another song could be really, really like feeling oriented and emotionally driven. So I
Mhm.
think that's what's great about you is that you're able to shift here and there.
Yeah, and like you said, in the end, when you listen to my songs, I think you always kind of get the root sound of it, I guess, like you feel it's a Das Mortal song in the end, no matter what style I end up doing. Um, but I really like that, like you just described it, like you get to feel all these emotions no matter what, and in the end, you still know it's a Das Mortal song. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
You do get to you do feel that. You kind of go like you listen to it and you go, this kind of sounds like DOS Mortal. Is this DOS Mortal?
yeah,
And that's what I think is like the big thing about us as artists is that, it's our job to like grow and to
mhm,
experiment and
yeah,
adapt and change. It's like there are a lot of artists out there who, you know, they are content with being in that kind of area where they're in, and that's fine for some. That's
mhm,
fine. That works.
yeah,
But then there are a lot of other artists out there that want to break out of the box, and just kind of going, I'm going to experiment with this. I'm going to experiment with that. My next release is going to sound completely different from the last one, and that's just because that's a creative mindset. That's
mhm,
how you are creatively. Like some people don't are not okay with just staying in that little area. They just want to branch out and work with all different kinds of people and showcase all different kind of sounds
yeah,
because that's all it is. It's creativity at its
yeah,
core.
and in the end, it kind of becomes boring when you're just like running in place. I feel a bit with the music, like you really quick when you start like getting, I guess, like a pattern of how to make a specific style of song. Really quick, you start just reusing the same techniques over and over. Like, oh, I know this kind of beat works really well, so I'm gonna just redo another song and reuse the same type of beat, just change it a bit. Same things for like synth sounds and how like the layering and the composition of the melodic parts. And like when you start realizing that you're kind of just re-imitating or regurgitating the same thing, just slightly different, it becomes really boring. You're like, I need to do something else. And that's what I find more interesting. It's like as soon as I feel that, I gotta move on and change it. And maybe like what I'll start working on will be really crappy. You're not always making great shit, but at least the fact that you're experimenting on something else will eventually like grow into something better. So you will always end up hearing somebody's roots, no matter what type of music they do. Like a good example is, for example, Daft Punk, who made three completely different albums. They started with the first one, which was really harsh house music, I guess, for the time at least. And then they did this disco album, uh, like I remember when I bought it like day one when it got released on CD, and I was like, this is not Homeworks, and I was like, kind of, like not into it back when it got released. But the more I listened to it, the more I was like, yeah, I definitely hear Daft Punk. They're just doing something else. And then they released another one, same pattern again, right? Something completely different. Wasn't disco, wasn't house anymore. And at first time, I don't kind of get it, but I definitely hear Daft Punk. And eventually, it grows. And I think that's really cool when you have artists like that do that, because also your public grows as well, right? As a listener, when you like a band, and you just keep hearing the same stuff. They've been doing the same stuff for 20 years. It's like you're gonna get bored of it as well as a listener of somebody that's still running in place. So it may be hard when you're not expecting the shift in sound, the sudden shift in sound. But I think in the long run, as a person, you start also hearing a lot about other music, other artists, and when you hear the artist, you were expecting something of them and it's different. It's hard at the beginning, but eventually you'll also like get it, unless it's
Yeah.
really bad.
Well, you kind of you kind of hit the nail on the head right there, because it's like you have this thing where it's like you have the artists start to experiment. They want to reach a broader range of people, so they kind of switch their style up. They kind of change things a little bit here, but it's inherently their sound. But then you listen to it and you might not like it at first, but as you keep listening to it, you start to appreciate it. And then when you
Yeah,
look back on it years from now, you kind of go, it might not have been my favorite album, but I appreciate the work that went into something like that,
hmm,
because they really played around with a lot of interesting things, and you can really respect that in an artist. I think artists that really branch out and really kind of take advantage of this blank canvas that is music a lot of the time are able to really kind of transition into a lot of amazing things. And the years from now, people will look back and appreciate that. And you'll have different fans from different areas,
hmm.
like different eras of their music. What was the drive behind getting you into making music and performing?
Like I said, I've been making music for such a long time. I think originally it was just to, you know, reproduce the things I enjoyed listening to. Um, I remember when I was really young, like really, really young, one of the first things I can remember listening to was Violator from Depeche Mode. And back then, like the sounds to me were something I wasn't hearing like on the radio that my mom was always playing in the kitchen. It was not like the music that my mother was playing on the kitchen, right? It was completely different, and it had already like electronic sounds to it and all that kind of stuff. And like I wanted to hear more, but especially back then, there's no internet or anything like that. So my father had a synthesizer, so I would like play with his synthesizer and just either reproduce like their melodies or make similar sounds or melodies and just record them on a little tape cassette and play back for myself. It was like it's like I'm making more of the music I enjoy, but because I can't find any more, right, of it, because like I said, there's no internet or anything. I just heard them. I knew them, but past that, I didn't know much more. Like now things have labels, right? You can basically just say, yeah, I want to listen to some death metal, and you go to internet, type death metal, and you find a million like similar to this, right? Back then it wasn't that easy, so being able to just make music that sounded to what I enjoyed listening to was the main drive behind it. And eventually just grew up, right? Like I said, you start to get tiring of like running in the same spot, doing the same things. So you start listening to other types of music. I was really a lot into IDM, so then I started just making IDM music, really into drum and bass, started making a lot of drum and bass. And and yeah, it's like at the end it's like kind of like playing a video game, making music, I find. There's like the same type of reactions. You're doing something and you see immediately what you're doing on screen, and making music is a bit the same thing. Like you're just doodling something on a synthesizer or in your computer or whatever, and you get instantly a result, and it's gratifying right away. Even if it's not good, right? You're still happy that you're making something. So that's what I enjoy about making music. Usually when I was younger, I would get lots of gear, and that was like, oh, cool. It's like having a bunch of video games controllers, just like pushing buttons, twisting knobs, doing completely like crap noise. But it was gratifying because I was like, that's my shitty noise. I made that shitty noise. Now, can I make something good out of that? And, you start growing up your library of sounds, and you start growing up your knowledge of how to manipulate sound, and you start making songs like like I think it's John Cage said it, music is just organized noise, basically. Everything is just noise. You just put it in a way that feels pleasing to the listener.
Music is organized noise.
Mhm.
You know, that's a really interesting way to put that. Like what you were saying about going back to when you were younger, and you know, being able to try to emulate these sounds on your father's synthesizer. It's like I can understand that too. It's like for me that was kind of one of those things where like my dad had a Casio keyboard. I
Mhm.
loved to play on that thing, and it had a lot of pre-programmed sounds and like little drum beats that you could do, and you can program those little drum beats on a little drum pad. And I always thought to myself, I kind of going like, you know, this is just one of those things that really kind of spoke to me and really kind of got me wanting to do music as well. But it's like, even, you know, like recording my ideas on a tape recorder, that's just the way it was, because you didn't have that internet then. You
Mhm.
didn't have that, you know. And now you're right, nowadays you can just type in whatever you want, you get like 10,000 like different songs that you can listen to, and you're kind of like, yes, ease of information right now. But
Mhm.
I think that was the big thing, is like we were trying to emulate sounds and trying to get an idea for what other things sounded like at that moment in time. And I think as we transition into the future as artists, like, is if you're an artist that creates things like electronically, yes, it definitely is a quick, you know, cause and effect. It is an instant
Exactly.
reaction right now. Is
Mhm.
that you get, you know, you're able to put your what you want to play into the computer, and it's there. That note of sound has been created right there in front of you. That little snippet of sound is like instantly right there, and then you're able to play with it in any way that you want. And I think, you know, we as human beings, like, we have come a long way as far as, you know, music production, what has been created for artists to help them as they progress further into the future
Yeah.
is just some really amazing stuff. You know, if you had spoken to me 20 years ago and said, hey, this is how music's going to be made in 20 years, I would have been like, you're living on another planet. Like, I cannot believe that. That's odd to me. But here we are. Here
Yeah.
we are. And it seems like we all have that power now. It's like years and years and years and years ago, it was like you had to go to a recording studio. You had to record it. You know, somebody had to mix
Mhm.
it down for you. It's like that, you know, you had that gatekeeper there. It's like I was, you know, the person who, you know, records you and then mixes it down and gives you this, you know, beautiful piece of music. And now you can do this all from the comfort of your own home, and it
Yeah.
put that personal stamp on it. Know, hey, I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this music, and I was there from its inception all the way till its release.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Like so cool nowadays that, you know, somebody who just wants to start to do something have such much to choose from. When I was a kid, you know, I had my father's synthesizer, it was also a Casio synthesizer. So, you know, it was, you know how freaking limited those are really quick. But you know, and if you wanted to expand, well, it's like all your change to get the most basic of drum machines, you know. And nowadays you can go like on a Google Chrome page and you have a full DAW that's running on a browser nowadays, which is amazing. So it's so much easier to just get your ideas out whenever you want. And that's cool. That's really, really cool. And you have your phones, you can do that, your tablets, all that kind of stuff is, and it's really, really cool. So I feel like right now we're in a very golden age of just music producers in general. People who had ideas that weren't able to do it when I was young. Nowadays, if you have an idea, you can just do it, and it's great. It's so great.
You're right. It is really amazing to see that, like, as a producer or somebody who produces music nowadays, you know, as an artist or whatever, you can have that instant gratification. You can put those ideas down like right away, and you really can explore some really amazing things from where
Mhm.
you're at, like anywhere in the world.
Like I definitely felt when I was younger, like just making any type of music in general, you know, you really felt really quick the shortcomings of not having enough money to get one specific piece of equipment, right? And nowadays, we don't give a fuck. Like, like anyone, if you don't have money at all, you can still make music. And it's the same for a lot of just technology in general, same for like photography, you know, something that costed so much money, like, oh, you gotta develop your film, you gotta all that kind of stuff, you know, doesn't mean like it doesn't make those old things not interesting anymore. No, the legacy will always live on. But it allows people that originally didn't have the means to do the art they wanted to do. Now they can, right? And that's really amazing.
Exactly. You are exactly right there. And I think with the ease of accessibility now, I just think that it's a great thing, and I don't knock it for anything in the world. I think it's great, and I think that people should explore and people should experiment and people should try to be all that they can be, with music and creativity out there. What are you looking forward to accomplishing the most moving forward?
I would like to maybe in the future just keep doing what I'm already doing, I guess. I mean, I don't feel like I have an end goal to all of this, to be honest. Making music has always been something I did like when I have time to do it and when I have also the inspiration to do it, I guess. It's really hard, at least for me, it's really hard to like have somebody push me in the back and like you gotta release something. Um, and you know, do my darn hardest to like do something when I'm not feeling like I'm in the mindset to make something. So, in the future, I'm just looking forward to doing it exactly the same way I'm doing it right now, I guess. But like with easier access to certain things. Like the bigger the project grows, the more accessibility eventually you get to certain things. So, like maybe do live shows with an actual like scenery to it, for example. That's something I'm really looking forward, like have being able to like do touring with a whole setup rather than just always just bringing the music equipment, now having like visual setup to it. And music wise, just for the music part of it, just being able to like collaborate with people that right now it's harder for me to like collaborate. Like I was talking about Depeche Mode earlier, like I would like maybe in the future to, for example, like do a remix for them and then eventually just like co-produce something with them, for example, have access to things that right now are a bit more it's harder to get into. But I think it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of making sure I'm always trying to put out there the best product I can and people just listening to it and the word to mouth and all that kind of stuff. And the record label helps a lot with that too. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, just being able to do it what I'm doing right now, but with more means. Not that I don't have any means right now, like we were just talking about it. It's just that I want to like have a bigger production with like, being able to work with people I've always wanted to work as a kid and making like a bigger live show eventually. And if it doesn't happen, you know what? It doesn't really matter. I'll still be doing music anyways. Um, because I've always been doing music mostly just to have fun and, getting back to like how I started to doing music. I just was doing it for myself, right? Because I wasn't able to hear the sounds anymore. I wanted more of this sound I was listening to, but I didn't have access to it. So I made my own version of it. And that's what made me happy. And ultimately that's still the case right now. I'm making music for myself. And as long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, it's fine. Maybe in the future people will hate everything I release. And that's okay. I'll just stop releasing it, I guess. But I'll still be having a lot of fun making it. And that's what counts.
And I know those are some really achievable goals right there. Those are very
Definitely.
achievable goals. They really are, because I think a lot of the time, as artists or as people, let's just say people in the world, we kind of limit ourselves sometimes. Like we limit ourselves to our mindset sometimes. If you want to make something happen, to everybody out there, if you want to make something happen, believe that you can make it happen. Know that you are making it happen in whatever way that you have to. Because if you really want, like what you were talking about, like co-produce something for Depeche Mode, work with them on a remix, that is a very attainable goal. That can really happen in the world. It really will happen if, as long as you work hard for it, as long as you make sure that you put yourself in the positions where you need to be in at the moments in time where you need to be, then you can really make that happen. So to everybody out there, believe it. Believe that you can make some amazing things happen, because you really can. Just make yourself accessible. Just produce the best that you can. Put yourself out there in the world and be open. Be open to that, because before you know it, something amazing will happen. Something amazing will fall in your lap, and you'll get to do some pretty awesome stuff. And for you as an artist, all the things that you've done that I have seen over the years from your music, like, those have been some pretty amazing achievements. So I know that you're going to keep achieving some really amazing things as you transition onward into the future, because you got the talent, you have the sound, and you've got the drive. And I know that that's just who you are as a person.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And I do hope that you can come back here to Los Angeles to do another show, because I would absolutely love that too.
Yeah, of course, the next album is gonna be coming out this year, so we're looking forward to probably start doing touring for 2021. But who knows? The situation right now makes it harder. We want to make sure everybody's safe as well. So we'll see. But I'm really looking forward for doing that again. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to 2021. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. We have adapted really well as human beings to the situation that's been going on. I mean, yes, there's been hiccups here and there. There's been people who don't follow certain guidelines and certain rules. Yes, because I think a lot of people, oh, we're so tired of being in the situation that we're in. We're just so tired of it. But I think that there are a lot of smart people out there. There are a lot of intelligent people out there that do believe that we need to be smart about our choices. And as long as we continue to follow the guidelines and continue to be safe, we will get out of this a lot faster than we have been, for sure. Because I am looking forward to entertainment returning in 2021. I was kind of saying this back in like March and in April. I was kind of going like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be out of this by fall. I don't think that this is going to, and here we are almost fall, and here we are. So I know that we're going to be out of this soon, and I can see, entertainment returning. And I think it's great that we have adapted so much, with live streams and things like that, helping to bring entertainment into the homes of people all over the world. But I definitely am looking forward to hearing this new album you have coming out, because I'm sure it's going to be freaking awesome. Am I right?
I hope so. I think it's really good, but we'll see.
Oh, believe me, I cannot wait to hear that. I'm going to have to talk to you again about when this album comes out. I'm going to have to talk to you again, do another interview, and talk about that.
For sure.
I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
For sure. I'm definitely looking forward for the reaction.
And it's going to be a great reaction. Everybody out there, when it comes out, be sure to go out and check it out, because it's going to be great. What positive message would you give your fans out there?
Just, stay positive. I think it's I know it's very broad, but like you were saying earlier, like we've adapted really good to the situation we are in right now. Of course, there's the few bad apples there that have find it hard, but just keep being positive, and there's always a way to do whatever you're doing in the moment. To keep doing it, it might just need to be done a different way, right? Like, for example, for shows. You can't really do live shows anymore, but there's nothing that was stopping you from live streaming it, right? And you can use that same mentality for a lot of things. Of course, not everything, but for a lot of things. So keep doing what you love doing, right? And if it's impossible to do it the way you're doing or what we're doing it back before the COVID, right? Like, I'm sure there's a way to do it that you can still have fun and appreciate, right, what you're doing as your own work, and keep being positive, because things are gonna get better. That's for sure. We just have to go through a lot of crap first. And remember, this is not the worst. This is definitely not the worst. So as long as we keep being positive and do what's been recommended, I'm sure we're gonna get out of this eventually. It's not gonna take 1 week, but things are gonna get better, and just keep doing your best always.
Wise words right there, everybody, from Das Mortal. Take those words in, everybody. Keep being creative, keep staying positive, keep working, keep doing what makes you feel happy. Because with everything happening in the world and all of the stuff that we're going through with the pandemic and everything like that, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. Our entire lives have been uprooted and changed. And we are continuing to deal with this stuff every day, and the scales fluctuate. Like the graph fluctuates all the time. But we may not be able to change that situation that we are in currently, but we can always have the kind of day that we want to have. If we want to have a great day, we can have a great day. If we want to have a very positive day, we can have a positive day. We just have to believe in ourselves and in our minds that we can do that. Be creative, continue to grow, continue to build, continue to just be positive, because that right there is some life-changing stuff. And you can definitely go very far with it. Well, thank you so much for taking this time to do this interview today, Das Mortal. Thank you to everybody out there who took the time to tune in and watch us have this conversation. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our Fiend YouTube channel, as we have many more awesome artist interviews on the way, just like this one. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everything you're doing in the music scene right now. I think it's really, really, again, like we were saying, I think it's a positive thing that what you're doing, and yeah, keep doing it. You're doing great.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate those kind words. And I mean, hey, if these videos and these interviews are able to spread a little bit of joy and a little bit of hope out there, then I have done my job. So thank you guys so much. Remember, dream it, build it, and let it grow. And I will see you guys next time.